In this video, we'll be talking about the Fallout deck science. We'll be going through the deck in its entirety and talk about the good cards in it, giving my thoughts and opinions on some of the cards, and then talking at the end to see if this deck is worth, in my opinion, to see if people want to buy it or not, to kind of give the little push type of thing. So if you've never seen these type of videos before, I go over the commander, the sub-commander, and then go through each of the card types like creatures, artifacts, and lands and stuff like that, and then give a very end opinion at the very end. So if that's all you want to see, go watch that bit, but it will be very nice if you want to watch the whole thing and help me out. So when it comes to this deck, the commander is Dr. Madison Lee. For a blue, red, and a white, you get a legendary creature, human scientist that is a mythic. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get an energy. Tap, pay an energy, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains trample and haste until end of turn. Tap, pay 3 energy, draw a card. Tap, pay 5 energy, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and is a 2/3. So as I'm going to be very biased in this, I don't like energy as a concept in Magic the Gathering. I do understand it and I do think people do enjoy it, but for me it's just not a thing. I'm not a big fan of it. But this is quite a good commander. If you don't know who Dr. Madison Lee is, because you don't like Fallout stuff, she is absolutely huge scientist, especially in 3 and 4. In 3, she helps you and your father clean the water, and then in the other one, she's like in the Institute, but was with the Brotherhood, then betrayed the Brotherhood for the Institute. And it's a big complicated thing, but again, she is very known, and that's why I'm actually happy she's one of the face commanders. As a commander of the whole, she seems to be more of a do nothing, in my opinion. Yeah, she does get to power up your creatures, draw, and get used to return artifacts and probably or normal creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. But overall, I'm not the biggest fan because herself doesn't really attack or block. She's kind of more of a enchantment, but a weird enchantment. It's pretty much like you get to pick one of the 3 abilities depending on how much energy, and again, it seems to be she's more of an enchantment commander. I would love if there was more interaction with her, like if she done something, that would have been great, but again, I'm happy with the way they built it already. So now let's go on to the sub-commander. Democracy is non-negotiable. I will always hear that because I've beaten 3 so many times. 4 I've only beaten like a handful of times, but 3 I have beaten way too many times that I will always hear that voice every time I hear that line. But the sub-commander is Liberty Prime Recharged. For 2 blue, red, and a white, you get a legendary artifact creature robot that is a mythic. It has vigilance, trample, and haste. Whenever Liberty Prime Recharged attacks or blocks, sacrifice it unless you pay 2 energy. 2 and tap it, sacrifice an artifact, you get 2 energy and draw a card, and it is an 8/8. A 8/8 for 3 keywords for 5 mana is absolutely amazing. Now, of course, they had to put the downside of it, that whenever it attacks, you have to pay, or blocks, you have to pay 2 energy to kind of use it. But with how much energy cards that are going to be in this and how easy it is, to be honest, I seen the Game Nights episode where they actually showed this off, and to be honest, they gave it to the perfect person and they played it absolutely amazing. I did not ever think that if someone's like, oh, I'm going to take control of your commander, you're just like, yeah, pay 2 and tap and sack it to itself. I'm like, oh yeah, you can do that. That's wow. To be honest, if I was ever to play this, I would be doing the same. I would be playing it as my commander. I think it is a better commander out of the 2, especially since Dr. Lee has the return creature card. So if you want to sacrifice Liberty to it, like to the graveyard, you can then use Dr. Lee to return it back, which is a really good way to play in my opinion. But I understand why Lee was the face commander and Liberty Prime was the co-commander, sub-commander, whatever you want to call it. Now, when it comes to the rest of the deck, I'll be going through it, but when it comes to this type of stuff, I'm going to try my best not to give out about energy, and I'm going to try my best not to fanboy over cards. I'm going to try and make it plain and simple as much as I can. So let's start off with the creatures. In this deck, you have a total of 23 creatures, and you get creatures like a Sultron Dominator, Brotherhood Scribe, Curry Emerge Intelligence, Loyal Apprentice, Red Death Shipwrecker, Steel Overseer, James Wandering Dad, Nick Valentine Private Eye, Paladin Dance Steel Maverick, Red Cyberhound, Synth Eradicator, Arcane Ganon, Elder Owen Lions, Whirlwind Brain Warmind, Stolen Ciliacrium, Whirler Rogue, Sentinel Sarah Lions, Sentry Bot, Sean Father of Synths, Synths Infiltrator, the Motherlode Excavator, Behemoth of Vault Zero. So one of my favorite things about this is that you get creatures from like all the Fallout games. I don't know much about the Behemoth of Vault Zero, so I'm actually going to look this up. If there's any cards that you've seen, or if you are a Fallout fan that you would have loved to seen or like have in the deck, please let me know. When it comes to this one, I'm happy with everyone that's in it. That is a scientist. That reminds, because you get your father and then you get father depending on 3 and 4, and there's a lot of other scientists and stuff like that. The only thing I could think of that may be cool is if they added like plasma grenade or something like that as an artifact, or as a creature or something, like something when it comes to Enclave. I haven't seen anything Enclave-y, but there was a few Brotherhoods like main characters. But again, I know when it comes to this, there is way too many characters to push into a small thing like this. So one thing I'm going to do that starting from now on, instead of doing instants and sorceries, I'm just going to put them down as spells. So we're going to be going over the spells of this deck. In this deck, you get a total of 12, and they are Electro Cipher, One with the Machine, Bottle Cap Blast, Austria Command, Open the Vaults, and Wake the Past. These are absolutely amazing sorceries in my honest to God opinion. Some of them I really love. Bottle Cap Mines, absolute love, so powerful. Still hear that cha-ching sound whenever it explodes. Open the Vault is such a really good card, and there's a lot of good cards that I'm happy with when it comes to the instants and sorceries of the deck. The only thing I could ever think of adding into this that I think would be absolutely amazing is Chaos Warp, being the crazy perk land, you know, where it's the face and the swirl and you get to see weird stuff like the Indiana Jones, like in the fridge, the dogs playing poker, that perk that you get at the start of New Vegas. That like perk symbol with Chaos Warp would have been probably my favorite instant or sorcery when it came to this. But now let's go on to the artifacts of this deck, and I say there's going to be many. When it comes to the artifacts of this deck, there is 22 in total, which again, as I thought, a lot, but 9 of them are mana rocks, so let's go over some of the rest. Automated Assembly Line, Expert Level Safe, Plasma Caster, T45 Power Armor, Brotherhood Vertibird, Camp, Mystic Forge, Panharmonicon, the Predwin Steel Flagship. Now when it comes to this, I've been thinking of all the Fallout adventures I've done. I do know that there's like the ship from Mothership Zeta, but I would have preferred like the Mothership would have been a really good artifact creature, or the steamboat that gets you into the DLC in Fallout 3 with all the crazy like ghoul and brainy stuff. But again, this is just more, there is a lot when it comes to the Fallout universe, and I know they had to jam pack it in. So I know there was always going to be some things that I'm like, would it be nice if they did this? Stuff like the Mesmerizer as a weapon, great card, just kind of like an artifact or a sorcery spell that just lets you take a creature or something. Great card. But now we're going on to the enchantments of the deck, and in this deck there is 5 enchantments, but I won't be going over all of them. But there is a really cool thing that they've done with enchantments that I'm really happy with, so let's go over some of the cool ones now. Over Encumbered, Mechanized Production, Vault 112 Sadist Simulation, Vault 13 Dweller's Journey. Now having a win con in a deck is absolutely hilarious to me, because I know there's so many people that are against, if it says you win the game on it, it's a stupid card, it shouldn't be in the deck, blah 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 blah. But again, having that, even wizards and stuff are putting it in, and again, Mechanized Production when it comes to the Bottle Cap Factory would have been good. Also would have been good if they added in like a few bottles of Suspect Sarsaparilla. Try and say that 5 times fast. Subsep Sarsaparilla, that can't do it. But again, that again is a thing that I know was so niche. Bottle caps are the main thing. Nuka-Cola is the main thing. There's a whole DLC on it, so that's why I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. When it comes to the vaults, I'm really happy with. I'm happy that they've done it as enchantments or enchantment sagas, and the way they did it is really cool. I wish they had more vaults since there's so many, and so many good and unique ones, but again, I know that they had to dumb it down, so they did really good in my opinion. And then finally, land. When it comes to this lands, there is 37 in total, and you get some lands like Burned Ruin, Clifftop Retreat, Glacial Fortress, Helios 1, Prairie Stream, Spire of Industry, Sulphur Falls, and Treasure Vault. So I'm not sure if this is the Fallout fan in me, or if it's one of those things that they're slightly maybe upgraded, but looking at this, I was more happy with the lands. But again, I'm not sure if it was one of those things that when I would see a land, I'm like, I know that place, I love that place. But again, that's why I'm saying it's going to be very difficult for me to talk about these decks, because I absolutely love the Fallout universe. Again, I'm not the biggest fan that they're doing Magic the Gathering and Thing combined. I am a big fan of Doctor Who, and I did like going and talking through that. But when it comes to Fallout, it is way more than, like, I love the Doctor Who stuff, but the Fallout stuff is way more important to me. So this is probably the only set that they've announced that I'm like, I want everything ever. When it came to the Doctor Who set, I was like, I really like that, I would want that. But when it comes to the Fallout set, I'm like, I want it all. Everything. All of it. But again, I cannot. So when it comes to this, I'm not sure if it is a bias that I think the lands are better, especially since they've added like Treasure Vault, which I'm pretty sure is the vault at the end of the DLC New Vegas, where you get all the gold and you can sneak out and stuff, or if it is just a normal Treasure Vault. Then I'm also Helios 1, again, a great card. It would have been great as that land that does the double X damage, where you're allowed to blast zone or something like that. I think the card's name is from the top of my head. That would have been good as Helios 1. I do think the lands are better, but again, I think it could be my Fallout bias. I could be wrong there. So now to answer the big question, should you buy this deck? Yes. Again, as a Fallout fan, yes, but however, if you don't want to play an energy deck, if there's no cards in it, if you're not a big Fallout fan but just want to try out the deck, it's more dependent on you. So if we're gonna get it as, I'm gonna slightly change it to, what about if Magic the Gathering just made this deck? I would probably say don't buy it. I did see in the Game Nights video, it is very good and it is very powerful. But again, I think it's just not my playstyle. So unless you are big into energy, then it's worth it. Again, I know there's like 2 or 3 energy cards that I think they should have added into it. But again, not the biggest fan of energy, so I don't really think or know many of the energy cards. I do think it's probably out of the 4 decks on one of the more powerful. I think, personally, I think it's like the second most powerful deck. I do think it is good if you just want to have a somewhat powerful deck straight out the box. But as a Fallout thing, again, buy it. If you like Fallout, if you've like saved Lee twice or even once, buy it. If you've watched literally the Liberty Prime saying democracy is not an option, just buy the deck. Sad Robot's in it and looks absolutely amazing. Second best other than the Secret Layer Sad Robot. Again, cannot talk as good as this deck actually is in my opinion. So again, it's buy it if you have the spare income. If you don't, save up for it. Just, I'll probably give this, like if I was to mark it, a 9.2 out of 10. But again, I say like 2 points is just because it's Fallout, so yeah. But as always, if there's any cards you think of they should have made, let me know in the comments down below. If there's any characters or items or anything like that, let me know. I would love to talk about Fallout stuff that they should have done or could have put in. And I actually might make a video on cards they could have put in. Like pretty much what I would like to do is get a normal card and turn it into Fallout and see what people think. So if you have anything like that, let me know in the comments down below. While you're there, remember to like, subscribe and follow and watch more of my content. But as always, if you like this video, we have a previous Magic the Gathering video here, a playlist of Magic content of Is It Worth It and stuff here, and a subscribe button here, which again, I know people say it helps, it actually does help a lot. So again, please hit that and I'll see you all in the next video.